All right, so a very good evening, one and all. Welcome to Mr. Yen's P4 Math online lesson on a Monday at 6:30 p.m. All right, so nice to see all of you here, and welcome to all the newcomers, right, who are first few times joining GenieClass lessons. All right, welcome. Now, I know that last year in primary 3, you guys have learned the multiplication table of 6, 7, 8, and 9. Are you all well versed in your multiplication table of 6, 7, 8, and 9? Do you think if I were to test you on your multiplication table of 6, 7, 8, and 9, you guys will be able to answer all questions? Yes. Oh, I see a lot of yes. That's comforting to hear, right? So, and you guys in P3 have also learned multiplication, right, up to 3 digits by 1 digit. Am I right to know? Am I right to say that you guys have learned how to multiply a 3-digit number by a 1-digit number? So in P4, what's new, right? We are going to learn multiplication again, but this time round, we are going to focus on the multiplication by 10 and its multiples. So in other words, we will look at how to multiply a number by, let's say, 20, by 30, by 40, by 50, and so on, right? The multiples of 10. How do we perform the multiplication of a number by a multiple of 10? Okay, then we will also look at something very new, which is to multiply a 2-digit number by a 2-digit number. Oh, how do we do that? Right, before we go into something more challenging, which is to multiply a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number without a calculator. Right. So pay close attention later on how to do this. Okay. And finally, we will end off with multiplication of a 4-digit number by a 1-digit number. Okay. So today's a lot of multiplication to do. That's why I say you need your writing materials. All right. Okay. So let's do a recap. Since you guys say that you are good in your multiplication table, I'm going to challenge you. Okay. So I'm going to be showing you multiplication tables of 1 all the way to, let me see, 10. Okay, I'm going to show you the multiplication table of 1 all the way to 10. And I'm going to challenge you to type in the answer faster than the revealing of the answers on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to show you the number sentence or the working statements, but you must type in the answer as fast as you can before I even show you the answer. Okay, all right, so every time you see that question, just type. Okay, so here starts with the multiplication table of 1. You just need to type in the answer will do. Okay, no need to tell me, oh, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, like that. Okay, just type in the answer straight away. So here goes. 2 first. Oops, should be 2. There's no 1. 1 is too simple. Okay, so we'll start with the multiplication table of 2. Wow, so many of you typing 2 already. That's fast. Let's go. Next one. Next one. Next one. Who is fast enough? Next. Next, 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 and the last one. Yay! Did you all get all of them correct? Who's the fastest? Okay, not to worry if you are not fast enough, but I think the multiplication table of 2 is pretty simple, right? You're just counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. All right, so all this, if you remember, in the last 2 lessons, we learned about multiples, right? These numbers here are your multiples of 2. Take note, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 are examples of multiples of 2. Now, are you guys ready for the multiplication table of 3? I know some of you already, your fingers stand by at the keyboard, right? So I'm going to play the table 3 right now for you. Okay, so here goes. I see answers coming in already. Yes, good, good. Keep the answers coming. Yes. Wow. I love this response. Okay. And yeah, that's the multiplication table of 3. Did you get all of them correct? Okay, so let's go through. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. All right. Now, I see some of you already giving me those beyond 30, like for example, 11 times 3, 12 times 3, good, right? If you can go beyond that, that's even better, okay? But we'll stop at until times 10, right? Okay, let's move on to table 4. Are you guys ready for table 4? All right, so here goes the multiplication table of 4. Okay. Yes. All right, good, good. I see a lot of good answers there in the chat. And the last one, yay. All right, do you get all of them correct? Now, even though if you're not fast enough, right, at least you must be able to recite all these multiples of 4, right? So let's go through 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, and 40. Right? So all these you have learned in P2. So this one shouldn't be a problem. Now let's move on to the next one, table 5. This one is very easy. Right? The multiplication table of 5. Let's go. Wow, wow, wow. A lot of you have very fast fingers, I realize. And yay. All right. So this is not the fastest finger first kind of game, but yeah, you guys have done a great job. Okay, so we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50. All right, up to 10 multiplied by 5. Okay, so do you guys get all this correct? And again, you notice there's a pattern, right? Multiples of 5 either end with 5 or ends with 0, right? Do you notice that? All ends with either 5 or 0. That's why the multiplication table of 5 is very easy to recite. But what about the multiplication table of 6? This is the one that you guys learned last year. Are you able to recite all of them? So here we go. All right, so the first one. Yes, yes, yes. Good. Keep those answers coming. Yes. Did you get all of this correct? Ooh, how come I see somebody type 65? How come there's 65 in the multiplication table of 6? All right, so again, let's go through the table. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, and finally 60. Ooh, why I see 56? Zen, are you sure 56 is a multiple of 6? Nah, okay, no, no 56. So please be able to memorize your multiplication table of 6, all right? Now, next, the multiplication table of 7. Are you guys ready? Okay, so here we go. All right, first one, second one, third one. Good, good. And the last one, yeah, great job, great job. Now, even though you're not fast enough to type all the answers, but I can see your effort put in, okay? So let's go through the table. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, and 70. All right, great job, great job. Why I see 30? Somebody wrote 30, somebody wrote 34, and somebody wrote 43. What's going on? Okay, so again, memorize your multiplication table of 7. Very important. Okay, next one. Are you guys ready for your multiplication table of 8? Okay, wow, Tang, you got all of them all typed out already. That's fast. Ashley also, wow. Okay, so here we go. Ryan Lee also, that's fast. Okay. And the last one. Did you get all of this correct? Yeah. Okay, so 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, and finally 80. Okay, so these are your multiples of 8. And the next one, multiples of 9, or your multiplication table of 9. This one is actually also quite simple to memorize, I would say. It's one of the easier one to memorize. Okay, so let's go. Multiples of 9, what do we have? Okay, and the last one. Yay. Okay, so 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81, and 90. Now, do you realize that it's actually very easy to memorize the multiplication table of 9? So you notice that the number in the tens place goes in an increasing order. Can you see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. While the number in the ones place is in decreasing order. Can you see that? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Right? So it's very easy to memorize the multiplication table of 9. Yeah. And the last one, the easiest one. Are you guys ready? Your multiplication table of 10. Well, Aaron Ting has already given me all of the multiples. Good. Okay, so here goes. All right. Great job. Okay, let me send a sticker. You guys are wonderful. I love this. Okay. Hey, have I sent a sticker? Okay, so yep, we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and of course, 100. All right, so that's your multiples of 10. Okay, so with that, let's take a look at how about the multiplication of a 2-digit by a 1-digit. Are you guys ready for this? Okay, let's take a look at the first one. Okay, just a recap only. This is just a recap. All right, so we have 23 multiplied by 3. So how do we perform the multiplication of this? Right, so take note, we start off with multiplying the digit in the ones place by 3 first. Right, so we see 3 ones multiplied by 3, we have 9 ones. Right, so therefore I put a 9 here. Now then followed by the number in the tens place, we multiply by 3. So 2 tens multiplied by 3, we have 6 tens. All right, so therefore the answer is 69. So there is no regrouping involved in this multiplication over here. When we take 23 multiplied by 3, there is no regrouping. But what happens if there's a regrouping? Let's take a look at this. Okay, so we have 47 multiplied by 5. Now, if you realize, when I take the number in the ones place and I multiply it by 5, I get 35 ones, right? 7 ones times 5 is 35 ones. Then I know that 35 ones can be regrouped into 3 tens and 5 ones. So I'm going to put the 5 ones here and the 3 tens over here. Right? That's how we do the regrouping. And then we take 4 tens multiplied by 5 plus the 3 tens over here. Right? So 4 tens times 5 is 20 tens. Plus another 3 more tens, that's 23 tens. Okay, so that's why the answer to this with regrouping is 235. Okay, so recall, how do we do the multiplication of 2-digit by 1-digit? And of course, your 3-digit by 1-digit. Okay, so with that, let's have our bubbles questions. Are you guys ready for your bubbles questions? Yes. All right, so here is your first one. Very simple. You all should get 100% correct. I would expect no one to get this wrong. So here goes your first question, and you have 30 seconds only, and your time begins now. Okay, so 8 multiplied by 9 is the same as 9 multiplied by 8. All right, so if you are confident in your multiplication table of 9, you can actually get the answer, right? The answer is 72. All right, 9 multiplied by 8 is 72. And Titus Tay say, my fingers. What's with my finger? Is it because you have a technique to introduce using your fingers? Right? For multiplication of table of 9, right? There is one way we can use fingers to find the answer, right? So if it's 9 times 8, we just put down the 8th finger, which is this, right? So if you count from left to right, right? This is the first finger, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. So I put down my 8th finger, and you just take a look. How many do I have on the left-hand side of my folded finger? I have 7 fingers over here. And how many fingers do I have on the right-hand side of the folded finger? I have 2. Can you see that? Right? So that's why the answer is 72. All right. So this is how you can use your fingers to find out the answer for the multiplication table of 9. Okay. You can actually go and find out this method on the internet as well. Okay. Yeah. If you want to know more about this, I can show you again at the end of the lesson. All right. Okay. Let's move on to bubble question number 2. Right. So maybe you need your paper. use your writing material to help you. Okay, so this is your bubble question 2. What is 18 multiplied by 7? Okay, so quickly, jot it down on your piece of paper, work out the answer. Okay, so you have 1 minute and your time begins now. Okay, so good job, good job. Right, so let's go through this very quickly. So what's 18 multiplied by 7? Right, so 8 multiplied by 7 is 56. All right, so I'll put down the 6 ones here and the 5 tens here. All right, then 1 multiplied by 7 is 7. 7 plus 5 is 12. All right, so I'll put down here 2 and 1. So the answer is 126. Okay, so let's take a look at what we are learning today for P4 multiplication. Okay, now in P4, we're going to look at multiplication of a number by 10 and its multiples. All right, so very simple. You notice that whenever we multiply a whole number by 10, all we need to do is just to add a 0 after the number. Can you see that? Like for example, if I want to take 5 multiplied by 10, all I need to do is just to put down the number 5, and then I add a 0 to the back of the number. So the answer is 50. Now, likewise, if let's say I ask you, what is 15 multiplied by 10? Can you tell me what is 15 multiplied by 10? Yes, thank you, Melody. Thank you, Albert and Isabella, Yunsin as well, and a lot of you. Good. Audrey, Erin, Lewis. Okay, so all you need to do again, just put down the number 15, followed by a 0 after the number. So the answer is 150. So you can see here, whenever we are doing multiplication by 10, all we need to do is just to add a 0 after the number. Now, what happens if it's a multiple of 10? Right? Okay, this is just an example just now. Okay, so what happens if we multiply a whole number to a multiple of 10? So let's say I have 5 multiplied by 30. So you can see here, 30 is your multiple of 10. Right? 30 is your multiple of 10. Okay, I see a lot of you have already gotten the answer, but let me show you the way to present your working. Okay, so you can do so by just taking 5 multiplied by, so we can split up the 30 into 3 times 10, right? Because 30 is a multiple of 10. It's the third multiple of 10, right? So it can be written down as 3 times 10. So then what you can do first is you can work on these two. 5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 3 first. Okay, so 5 multiplied by 3, we know that this is equal to 15, all right? But do not forget that I still have this at the back, right? We still need to multiply by a 10 after that. So then we know that since we are now multiplying a number by 10, we just need to add a 0 to the back of the number. So 1, 5, followed by a 0 at the back. Okay, so the answer is 150. Right, so are you all clear? What happens if now my number gets bigger? Let's say I have now 22 multiplied by 40, something like this, right? Where you are multiplying 22 by a multiple of 10, right? So therefore, this is the way you can solve it very quickly, right? By first splitting up your multiple of 10 into something times 10. Then work on the front part first. Once you have gotten the answer, then you multiply that answer by 10 by adding a 0 at the back. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at your bubble question number 3 over here. Same thing, to test your understanding. All right, so we have bubble question 3, which says here, what is 22 multiplied by 10? All right, very simple. So 30 seconds and your time begins now. All right, time is up. Okay, so well done. All right, so if you have paid attention just now, whenever we are multiplying by 10, okay, whenever we are multiplying by 10, all we need to do is just to add a 0 behind the number. Yes, Braille. Okay, so we just take 22, then we add a 0 at the back. All right, so the answer is 220. Okay, now how about the next one? Let's take a look. What is 51 multiplied by 10? All right, so again, 30 seconds and your time begins now. Okay, okay, last 3, 2, and 1. Time's up. Okay, so same thing. we are multiplying a whole number by 10. So what we need to do, just put a 0 at the back of the number, right? So 51 followed by a 0 at the back. So the answer is 510. Okay, now let me show you again what happens if we are multiplying by a multiple of 10. Okay, let me show you again in case some of you did not catch what I showed just now. Okay, before we go into the next bubble question, all right? So let's say I have 38 multiplied by 50. All right, so now that I have not taught you how to multiply a 2-digit number by a 2-digit number yet, how do we solve this? All right, so let me teach you again. Now, when I have 38 multiplied by 50, where I know that 50 is a multiple of 10, all right? Right, 50 is a multiple of 10. So what I can do first is I can split up, okay? I can split up my 50 into something times 10, right? Because I know for sure later on when I multiply by 10, all I need to do is just to add a 0 at the back. So why not we split this 50 into something times 10? So we know that 50 is actually 5 multiplied by 10, right? 50 is 5 multiplied by 10. Yes, thank you, Wensi. All right, so now that we have split up the 50 into 5 times 10, so let's solve this part first. Okay, let's find out what's 38 times 5. Okay, so you can do your working. 38 times 5. So 8 ones multiplied by 5 is 40 ones. All right, so I'll put a 0 here and 4 tens at the top. Okay, then 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. 15 plus 4 is 19. Okay, so I'll put down here 19. Okay, so I know that 38 multiplied by 5 is 190. All right, but not to forget, I still have this at the back. Okay, I still need to multiply my answer by 10. So then I know that I recall that when I multiply any whole number by 10, I just add a 0 at the back. Okay, so I will therefore have my final answer 1,900. Okay, so are you guys now understand how to multiply a whole number by a multiple of 10 now? Okay, so whenever you come across, let's say multiplying by 60, multiplying by 80, multiplying by 90, then this is what you can do. Okay, so split that multiple of 10 into something times 10 first. So if let's say you're multiplying by 60, you can split it into 6 times 10. Okay, once you split it up, then you solve the front part first, right? Take the whole number, multiply by, let's say 5, or let's say 6, or 7, or 8, or 9. Then after you got the answer, then you multiply by the 10, right? By adding just a 0 at the back. Okay, so let's look at the question first. Now we have 94 multiplied by 50. So can you see here? I'm multiplying 94 by a multiple of 10, right? This is a multiple of 10. So in order to solve this question, now for those already working on the answer, go ahead, okay? Now for those who are struggling, this is what you can do, okay? So when I'm multiplying by 50, so what I can do first is I'm going to split, okay? I'm going to split the 50 into something times 10. So 50 I know is 5 times 10, all right? 50 is 5 times 10. So once you have done that, can you start by solving this part first? Can you find out what's 94 times 5? All right. So once you have gotten that part, do not forget, I still need to multiply my answer by 10. Okay, so do not forget about this part. Okay, so I'm going to launch this bubble question. You have 1 minute and your time begins now. Okay, do not forget to multiply by the 10 after that. Okay, after you have gotten 94 times 5 and the answer, make sure you multiply that answer by 10. Okay. So I hope you all understand that the splitting is very important, okay? The splitting of the 50 into 5 times 10 is very important, okay? So now, let's take a look at this part, okay? The 94 multiplied by 5 first, okay? So 4 ones multiplied by 5 gives me 20 ones. 20 ones is equal to 2 tens, huh? So 0 ones, but 2 tens. Okay, now then 9 tenths multiplied by 5 will give me 45 tenths. Now 45 tenths plus the other 2 tenths over here, I have 47 tenths. Okay, so 94 multiplied by 5 gives me 470. Okay, gives me 470, but do not forget that you still have one more operation at the end, which is to multiply by 10. All right, so then again, recall, whenever we multiply a whole number by 10, all we need to do is just to add a 0 at the back. All right, add a 0 at the back of the number. So therefore, the answer is 4,700. The answer is number 4. What is 74 times 60? Okay, what is 74 times 60? All right, so 1 minute for you. Same thing, 1 minute for you. Okay, so I have 74 multiplied by 60, where 60 is a multiple of 10. So when I come across a multiple of 10, I can first split up that multiple of 10 into something times 10. Okay, something times 10. All right, so I know that 60 is equal to 6 times 10. All right, up to this point, anyone confused why I do this step? Okay. All right, so it's just about splitting the 60 into something times 10 first, right? So 60 is 6 multiplied by 10. All right, now next part, let's attempt to solve this first. Okay, because we already know how to solve a multiplication of 2 digit by 1 digit, right? So let's take 74 multiplied by 6. Okay, so 4 times 6 is 24. So regroup, bring up the 2 tenths above. Now 7 times 6 is 42. 42 plus 2 is 44. All right, so this will give me 444. But do not forget, I still have this, right? I still have the multiplication by 10. Okay, so now I'm left with 444 times 10. So recall again, when I multiply any whole number by 10, it's just simply adding a 0 to the back of the number. So I have 4440. That is the answer. Okay, so the answer to this bubble question 6 is number 3. Okay, 4,440. All right, do we multiply a 2-digit number by a 2-digit number? So for instance, one of your classmates just now asked, how do we multiply 99 by 99? So after my explanation here, I hope you can try it yourself, how to do 99 multiplied by 99, all right? So let's take a look at an example first. Let's say this one, okay? So we have here 18 multiplied by 12, all right? So you notice, this is not a multiple of 10. This is also not a multiple of 10. We can't use the method that we used just now, right, of splitting the multiple of 10 into something times 10. For this one, I cannot, right? I can't split. So what I can do here is, now take note, okay? 18 multiplied by 12 actually is very similar to 18 multiplied by 10 first, all right, together with 18 multiplied by 2. Okay, let me explain what is this about, okay? So imagine I have 18 apples, okay? I have 18 apples, and I want to have 12 such groups of 18 apples. So that's why I will do 18 multiplied by 12, right? So let me repeat. Imagine I have 18 apples, right, in one group. I want to have 12 such groups. So isn't it equivalent to me having 10 groups of the 18 apples, as well as another 2 more groups of 18 apples? So again, it's something like also splitting, but in this case here, I split into first a 10 group of 18, followed by another 2 more groups of 18. So therefore, I have now altogether 12 such groups of 18. Now, how is this going to help us in solving the question? Now, let's take a look at the working. All right. Now, first up, Let's start off with the multiplication of 18 by 2 first. Okay, let's do this part. Solving 18 multiplied by 2. So we will do the usual multiplication. Okay, I want you all to ignore this for now. Okay, let me just cover it up for you. I want you to ignore this one for now. Okay, let's do as per normal the multiplication of 18 by 2. Okay, so we know that, okay, 8 ones multiplied by 2 will give me 16 ones. So I put a 6 here, bring up the 1. Then 1 multiplied by 2 gives me 2 tens, plus another 1 more 10, I'll have 3 tens. Okay, yes, Gracially, that is right. Okay, so we start off with multiplying 18 by the 2 first, right? Let's ignore the 1 in the 12 first, okay? So when I'm doing the multiplication by a 2-digit number such as 12, let's ignore the tens place. Let's just focus on the multiplication of 18 by 2 first, right? Up to this point, everyone understand? Yes, yeah, I purposely cover it up so that it doesn't confuse you. Okay, I cover up this first. We do as per normal, right? The 18 multiplied by 2. So this will give me an answer of 36. All right, so here we have gotten this part of the answer. I got 36. Now, what is left for me is the multiplication of 18 by 10. Do you all know how to find 18 times 10? Yes, right? Just now we have learned how do we multiply a whole number by 10. Very simply, we just add a 0 to the back of the number, right? But if I were to present it this way, how do I do it? Okay, so let me show you. Okay, so I'm going to bring back the 1 in the tens place. I'm going to bring back the 1s here in the tens place. But before that, I'm going to add a 0 here. Okay, look carefully. All right, so before I do the multiplication, I will add a 0 to the next row. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next row. Okay, so I'll put a 0 first. Why do I put a 0 first? Okay, why do I put a 0 here? Because remember, when we do the multiplication by 10, what do? We put a 0 to the back of the number, right? So let's put a 0 here at the back of the number first. All right, now then we perform as per usual. This number 1 multiplied by the 8. So what do we have? All right, so we have, of course, 8. Then followed by 1 multiplied by the 1. And therefore we have 1. Oops, sorry. Let me just very quickly show you this first. Over here. Okay, let me just pause here. Okay, so I have already found the answer to this part. 18 multiplied by 10. Right, so I have 180. Okay, so this part over here. Okay, so what is left for me is to just add these two together. Okay, Claire, I'll explain again later on. Okay, so what I'm left with is to just add these two together. All right, so let's add them together. Okay, so 6 plus 0 is 6. 3 plus 8 is 11. So I put a 1 here, bring up another 1. So then 1 plus 1 is 2. So the answer to this is simply 216. Okay, 216. All right, so let me repeat again. How do we solve a multiplication of a 2-digit number by a 2-digit number? Okay, such as 18 multiplied by 12. So you can think of the multiplying by 12 as a multiplication by 10 first, followed by a multiplication of 2. Okay, I split the 12 groups into 10 groups, followed by a 2 group. Okay, let me repeat. So imagine, okay, just imagine I have 18 apples in one group. Okay, I want to have altogether 12 such groups. So how many apples will I have in total? So this can be simplified into 18 apples in a group, where now I have 10 of those groups first. Then later on, I have another 2 more other groups of 18 apples. Okay, so you see I split up the 12 into 10 and 2. Okay, so now if I were to perform the multiplication in this manner, what I can start off first is this. Okay, so again, let me just simplify it for you by covering this number. So I perform as per usual my multiplication of 18 by 2, which is this part. Okay, I perform my usual multiplication of 18 by 2. All right, so this will give me 36. Is that okay for everyone? I know this is very complicated, right? So I want you all to understand why we do this particular step, why we do that particular step. Okay, so firstly, 18 multiplied by 2 gives me 36. All right, now then comes the part that is confusing. Now, I have to deal with this number here, this 10, this 110. How do I do the multiplication? All right, so this is equivalent to me taking 18 multiplied by 10 over here is equivalent to me doing 18 multiplied by 10. But then if you recall, whenever we multiply a whole number by 10, what do? We add a 0 at the back of the number, right? So therefore, I have to first put a 0 at the back of my second row. Okay, I'm going to move on to the second row. Okay, so I'll put on a 0 first before I start doing my multiplication of this 1 in the tens place by the 8 and by this 1. Okay, so I take 1 tens multiply by 8, I get 8 tens. Okay, so I put down here 8. Then followed by 1 tens multiplied by 1 tens, I get 10 tens. 10 tens is 100, right? So I put out a 100 here. So therefore, 18 multiplied by 10 gives me 180, which is this part. Can you see that? 180. So once I've gotten these two answers from here and from here, what I'm left with is to add. Okay, I'm going to add them together. So I'll have 36 plus 180. So therefore, the answer is 216. Okay. 67 multiplied by 38. Wow. Those are big numbers. How do we do the multiplication of 67 by 38? All right. So let's do it step by step. Okay, let's do it step by step. Now, I know that 67 multiplied by 38 can be split into this. Okay, I can split my 38 into 8 and 30. Right, so again, imagine, right? Imagine, let's say I have 67 oranges in a basket. Okay, I have 67 oranges in a basket. I want to have a total of 38 baskets. Okay, I want to have a total of 38 baskets. So how many oranges will I have in total? So this is equivalent to me having first 8 baskets of 67 oranges, followed by another 30 more baskets of 67 oranges. Right? So altogether, I have now 38 baskets of oranges. Okay, so I'm going to use that to help me in my workings over here. Okay, so let's begin by first performing the multiplication of 67 by 8 first. Okay, so let me highlight to you which are the ones that I'm working on. Let's start with this first. Okay, let's begin by first solving what's 67 by 8. All right, so we do the usual multiplication, all right? So I know that 7 multiplied by 8 is equal to 56, right? 56. So I'll put down a 6 here, then bring up the 1, 5. Okay, I'll bring up the 5. Now then, following which we have 6 multiplied by 8. So 6 multiplied by 8 is 48, all right? 48 plus 5. 48 plus 5 is 53, right? 53. So let's put it down. Okay, up to this point, is anyone lost? All right, so for that part, we have 536. All right, now this is the part that will start to get everyone confused. So I am now going to work on this. Okay, I'm now going to work on the multiplication of 67 by 30, right? Because this digit 3 is in the tens place, right? So this digit 3 has a value of 30. So what I'm going to do now is to multiply 67 by 30, which is what I have here. But do you notice that when I do the multiplication of a multiple of 10, remember how do we do this? In the end, we're going to put a 0 at the back of the number, right? We're going to be putting a 0 at the back of the number. So we do the same here. Let's first start by putting a 0 at the back of my answer. Okay, before we perform the multiplication. All right, so let's take 3 multiplied by 7. Now, what's 3 multiplied by 7? So in the multiplication table, 3 times 7 is 21. All right, so I'm going to put here 1, and then I'm going to bring up 2. Right, I'm going to do the regrouping. Okay, so let me repeat. 3 times 7 is 21. So I'll put down the 1 here and regroup the 2 over here. Now then continue. 3 multiplied by 6. So 3 multiplied by 6 gives me 18, but do not forget that I have a 2 tens here. All right, so 3 times 6 is 18. 18 plus 2 is 20. Okay, so 0, 2. Okay, so this is actually 2, 0, 1, 0. Okay, now the last part, we add them together, right? Because over here, we are also adding them together. Okay, we're going to add them together. So let's do the addition. So in the ones place, 6 plus 0 is 6. 3 plus 1 is 4. 5 plus 0 is 5. And finally, 2 plus nothing, 2. All right. So the answer to this is 2,546. Okay. So the most important part of this working here is actually this one. Okay. A lot of students actually forget to put that 0 at the back, right? Because after all, we are multiplying by a multiple of 10. So eventually we need to add a 0 to the back of the answer. So this 0 in the second row is very important. Okay, make sure you put that first before you start doing the multiplication. All right. Okay, so I know you have been waiting for your bubbles questions. Let's have one to test your understanding. All right. So here comes your bubble question 7. All right. Now, in this bubble question 7, I want you to work out what is 27 multiplied by 31. Okay, what is 27 multiplied by 31? Okay, so do what I did just now, right? So first take 27 times 1. Okay, let me just write down 27 times 31. Okay, so start by solving this first. Okay, start by solving this first. Get your answer, put it down. And after that, make sure in your second row, you put a 0 first before working on this. Okay, then once you have gotten those two, add them together. All right. Okay, so you have 1.5 minutes and your time begins now. All right, last 5 seconds. If you have not pressed the button, go ahead. Go ahead. 2 and 1, time's up. Okay, so let's go through this together. Okay, so first we work on the multiplication of 27 by 1 first. Okay, the 1 here. So we get, of course, this is very simple. 7 and 2, right? 27 times 1 is just 27. Now, then we are going to work on this part. Okay, let me highlight it to you. We're going to work on this. What's 27 times 30, right? Because this 3 here is in the tens place, right? So this 3 here is your 30, yeah? But before we do that, make sure you put a 0 here, because after all, we are multiplying by a multiple of 10. In the end, we need to put a 0 at the back of the answer. So I'll put a 0 here first. Then I'll start taking 3 times 7, right? 3 times 7 is 21. So I put a 1 here, bring up the 2. Okay, then 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay, now once I've gotten these two answers, let's add them together. Okay, so 7 plus 0 is 7. 2 plus 1 is 3. Then 8 plus nothing, 8. Okay, so the answer is 837. All right. Do you think you can solve this? Do you think you can solve this? All right, since you have already the foundation of solving 3-digit multiplied by 1 digit, all right, so this one, we are just adding one more place value. Okay, so no more multiplication of 2-digit by 2-digit or whatever. We are now back to multiplying by just 1-digit number. Okay, so 1936 multiplied by 7. What is this answer going to be? All right, so I'm going to give you 1 minute only. Quickly work out your answer. All right, so your time begins now. Okay, all right, so for this one, let me see. Did you all get it correct? Most of you got it correct. Okay, so this is quite simple. All right, so do your usual multiplication, right? 6 times 7 is 42. Regroup, bring up the 4. 3 times 7 is 21. 27 plus, 21 plus 4 is 25. Bring up the 2. 9 times 7 is 63. 63 plus 2 is 65. So put out a 5 here, bring up the 6. And last but not least, 1 times 7 is 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. Right, so the answer is 13552. Okay, do you want one more question? Are you up for another one more question? All right, so since a lot of you requested for one more question, yep, here is your next one. Okay, so you can earn another 10 more bubbles if you can get this correct. Okay, so same thing, 1 minute, and your time begins now. 3,918 multiplied by 5. How did some of you solve it so quickly? All right. There is a 15 bubble question. But looking at the time, it's already 7:31. Should I still give you all the 15 bubble question? Yes, okay. But for those who really need to rush off, yep, you can go ahead. You can go ahead and have your dinner, or go and do your homework or whatsoever. Okay, then I'll see you on next Monday, same time at 6:30. But for those who want to stay behind just to have one more bubble question, right, you can go ahead and stay back. Okay. All right. So here, very quick one: 3,918 times 5. Right, so 8 times 5 is 40. Bring up the 4. 1 times 5 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. Then 9 times 5 is 45. So put a 5 here. Bring up the 4 here. And finally, 3 times 5 is 15. 15 plus 4 is 19. All right. So the answer is 19590. Okay.